the top asked question relates to low connectivity settings. You mentioned you have some advice on that. What do we do if connectivity is bad or if internet is expensive and we still need to run a digital meeting?
Yeah. So there are a couple of things. I think it's really context dependent and really depends on what's available. I think I've heard of people doing lots of different things. So one is leveraging internet cafes as part of that, if that's available. I think a really good tool to use is actually just get people on their mobile phones. So many people these days I found actually don't have very good computer equipment to connect into workshops when it comes to the audio and visual. So their microphones might not be very good or their webcams might not be very good, but phones have such good webcams. And I'll tell you one thing is right now I'm speaking to you through my phone. So I have set up my phone on a tripod behind my computer, and I've done that because the front-facing camera on my phone is 1,000,000 times better than the webcam on my laptop. It'd be super grainy if it was the webcam on my laptop. So I think mobile phones are a great tool to leverage. Just earlier today, or was it yesterday, I was talking to someone who works with a UN agency, and was saying, if you're doing digital workshops, especially now if you're converting some of your in-person workshops into digital workshops, you have all this budget for DSA and flights that you're no longer spending. You can actually send people webcams and microphones or headsets, for really the price of one day of DSA. And so if you have a little bit of extra budget, you can also send people some phone credit, right? Or pay for some of their phone credit. I would definitely suggest some of these things. But the last thing I'll say is I heard a wonderful story of someone who ran a workshop, or one of my colleagues ran a workshop that was done with someone who had no internet connectivity, essentially, or practically none. What they did is they sent a PDF file to this person to essentially review, and then they got them to call into to phone in to the Zoom meeting over their phone line. So they dial a local number, and what they did in that call is they did voting on essentially different components of the document. So they were reviewing a document, they were modifying it together, working on it, and so they would hold votes on different sections, and then they'd talk about what the spread of those votes were, and then have a discussion about what needed to be changed in that document. And the voting process really made a big difference. Being able to see the spread and where everyone stood was a great basis for conversation, right? So sometimes it's not actually necessarily being connected to the internet, but it's having the right kinds of conversation prompts and facilitation. So those are a few things that I've heard or seen as part of kind of doing workshops in settings where it's difficult to do them, where people might not have the equipment or the internet access to do it. Truthfully, it's not easy, right? And I think different people will figure different workarounds out. And if you have solutions, I'd love to hear them as well, because this is not a fully answered question, right? I think this is what I've just said are some workarounds and some hacks, but I'm sure there are many others as well.